you everybody for coming to watch this beautiful film, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Karan, for making this wild film which challenges the audiences. Usually we are used to getting spoon-fed with everything: why, what, when, where, how. But here's a film which is quite absurdist and a genre which is pretty much missing in Indian cinema to a large degree, if I may take the liberty to say so. We've seen the Buñuelesque kind of films, but not something like this. So thank you for making this film. And thank you, Rasika, Mukul, and everybody who was involved with this film for backing Karan to make this film. I think they all deserve a round of applause. Yeah, simply put, when was the last time when you saw a film which challenged you so much, in many ways? So to start with, how do you write and conceptualize a film like this?
Oh, sorry. Okay. I don't know, how do you write? Because I tend to forget very quickly. But I think it had... So something like this was just, I think it came out of like a lot of like writing something else that had nothing to do with it and then failing consistently with it. And then finally just getting frustrated with that whole idea. And then sitting on the table and just like, in about 2 or 3 weeks, just sitting there and just writing scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and just making sure that you get to the end. And then I think then the idea of making this into improvised dialogue then came during that process, because I was like, don't put any time in writing dialogue and just write the outline of what we think we were going to say and then go with that and see where we land up. And I think it came from, like, I don't think it's a conscious decision of like, I don't sit there and think that let's do it like this time to make it different or whatever. I think it comes out of like, I was trying to make a documentary at one point, and I tried to make a documentary and a hybrid at one point of something else that had nothing to do with it. So then you had all these ideas floating in your head. And then when you start making it, I think they all sort of somehow come together, and just don't sit there and try to hammer it down. So just let it be a little bit. So then it came from there. I wrote the whole thing from maybe 70 or 72 scenes or so. And I knew Rasika because we had done a movie together long ago. Alek is over there. He's the actor from that movie called Share, like 10 years ago. But yeah, there's Rasika and him it was. And then after that I was like, I want to work with her again as well. So I was like, okay, let's get Rasika. And Rasika and Mukul is also Rasika's husband in real life, whoever doesn't know that. And Mukul, I found out that Mukul also does improv, which is like the improv theater and all that. So I was like, it'd be really cool if we can include that into the whole process. So then I spoke to them and I said that, hey, do you guys want to go through this movie? And I sort of narrated it to them and they liked it. So then we were like, okay, then let's try to get all the improv together. So it became like this improv thing that we did. And then I think that's how it all sort of came. And I think the complexities and the things of it sort of came from that performance of it. Rather than, I think it came less from me and more from what they did and what everybody, all the actors and everybody who was involved in it really brought to the whole thing. And then when you edit it together, you see all these features of it that you've never written, and they just seem to come out because of the way they performed it. And that was really cool. And like right now I was also watching something and I was like, man, I can't, like they start paying attention to certain things which you don't think of as a writer. And then I don't think they realize it until you actually edit it and you put it in front. And then you begin to say, like, I'm seeing this movie, I think, for the 1000th time. And still there are like these little feature things that sort of happen in there, which is really, yeah, so I think it came from there. And yeah, pretty much.
Rasika, do you remember the first time he narrated the story and what was it like and what was your reaction? I mean, did it sound convincing enough?
I had worked with Karan in 2010. 8 to 10 is when we had shot Share, because we would shoot whenever we had money. And so it took that much time to shoot. And I knew that if he's coming to me with an idea, it's going to be different. So he said, I'm thinking of this film and I'm thinking of it as an improvised film. I said, hey, that sounds like an interesting idea. And, let's meet and talk about it. And he came one afternoon. And I remember we were reading the script together, in the sense, the outline that he had for every scene, because the dialogues, as we know, weren't written. And somewhere on page 19, I don't know what it was, but I said, okay, I want to do this film. But basically, I think I just understood that what intrigued me was this relationship and how it was about this couple trying to navigate their relationship and the loneliness about living in a city. And those are always themes which I am very attracted to as a viewer. So I thought it would be fun to do this.
And Mukul, your reaction was also same or different?
No, I thought it was bizarre. I thought it was like, first of all, who thinks up of a story idea like this? So as he's telling us the story and we're reading it, I'm like, this is okay, quite crazy. And then at some point, because there are no dialogues, he says it's going to be completely improvised. The actors are going to improvise all the dialogue. So that's another level of complication. But so I thought it was bizarre, but at the same time, it was very challenging. And at the same time, that made it very exciting for the actor. So it's great. So yeah. And I've seen Karan's work. I'd seen Cher, and there has to be that level of faith and trust. So I said, let's do it. Yeah.
Right. As far as the themes are concerned, did you incorporate did the themes give birth to the story of the film, or was it the other way around?
I think it's the other. I can't write with theme in mind though. That's hard. So I just write pragmatically. So what happens and what you do and what you say is what we kind of write. And what comes, theme I think comes in during the edit. I think it comes in is when I start thinking thematically. I don't think I think of it initially because the actors are not thinking thematically. An actor does not come up to you with, they're not looking for thematic feedback when they do something. They want to just know, hey, what do I do here? What am I trying to do? And in fact, the less you tell them, the better it is, because then they will find their way and then make it their own or whatever. So as soon as I start thinking thematically, it becomes like this thing that, oh, dude, but then this has to connect with this, and then this color red cannot fit here. And then, like, no, it doesn't matter. Just forget that. Just we'll figure all that out later. So then, yeah, so I think I wrote it first like that, and then figure it out in the edit, the themes that sort of come out, and then you edit based on that, you sort of get those things out. Yeah.
Right. And what was it like improvising? I mean, there was absolutely no dialogue. It was just as it comes.
Absolutely no dialogue. Karan had a rough structure for every scene, which was, I think, a couple of lines which sort of told us what his intention for the scene was, but exactly how that was going to achieved was not scripted at all. So we knew this is what he roughly wanted from the scene, and we just improvised it, which I think is an actor's delight, really, because more often than not, you're working with scripts which have terrible dialogue, and all you're trying to do is correct the dialogue to make it sound okay, and all your energies have gone there, and you have no time or room to do anything else, because very often from what the intention of the scene is to what dialogue gets written, it's completely different. It's completely ruined the scene more often than not. There are very few good dialogue writers, and it's really sort of something. So I was like, "Arey, ye to bahut acha hai. Let's have some fun here." And also, I think because we were working with people who knew how to improvise. I mean, unlike what some people might think, improvisation is not ki aap khade hoke kuch bhi kar lo. There are rules to the game, and you have to have practiced that game with your teammates. So you're playing as a team. Every day is different and every game is different. You can't plan what happens in the game, but you have to have practiced it enough. So Mukul is a very seasoned improviser. I had worked with him in the same improv group. Avinash and Ankit are very good improvisers also, and we'd all worked together. They are, of course, very, very good, and I had sort of had a guest appearance in their group once in a while. But because we sort of had that understanding, we'd worked with each other before as improvisers, as fellow improvisers, so it was easy.
Right. And Mukul, your character, did you have some idea of which direction it has to go? Because clearly you're having a lot of fun playing the character.
Oh, I had a lot of fun, yeah. I had a lot of fun, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, in that sense, Karan had, he'd written out, all the scenes. He had written out what happens in... So the arc of the story was there in terms of, what the characters want. So that was kind of clear. Of course, a lot of things get colored and filled in as you improvise and do a scene and you develop... what the dynamic between the characters is that happens. And that's why we shot this film linearly. It had to be shot linearly because we shot scene 1, scene 2, because you didn't know exactly, you know what happens in each scene, but what exactly is the relationship between two characters, or, what's the point they leave off in the previous scene, and how it is. We don't know until we do it. So, in that sense, it's a producer's nightmare. Anukampa's here, our producer is also here, and Shan and Alex also part producer. I mean, it's not easy to do that, right? It's not easy to, like if you go to the forest, you kept going back to the forest, didn't do all the scenes in the forest. But it had to be done in that manner. So yeah, one had a sense of the arc. I mean, that sense, that was quite clear. But it was a great ride along the way, yeah.
You can tell the way you're performing in the film.
Thank you.
Which is absolutely fabulous. But did you all do any rehearsals whatsoever, or just
Yes.
and that's it?
Yeah, we did. In fact, this whole process was alien to us. Even though, we've done improv before, this is slightly different because in improv as an art form, for those who've seen any improv or whose line is it anyway or anything, it's you're improvising, but you don't know, you have no idea. You take a starting position and you take the scene from here. There's an imposition of sorts here because you kind of know, there's an overall structure of the story, you know the starting point of the scene, you kind of have a sense of what the ending point should be or where it should be, what direction it should be heading in. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It's not exactly, improv in that sense. So we struggled with it. I think we all struggled with it. I think even for the DOP, how do you cover this? How do you get focus positions? How do you, they were wonderful with us. They kind of, the way they shot it, they had 3 camera setup, very long takes. I mean, I think the shortest take might have been 7 or 8 minutes. The longest take was probably 25 minutes. So it was like, for us, it was like it's a theater space. You just walk on and do your stuff. And there was a lot of freedom given that you could even leave the frame if you had to. Like the opening shot you see, we almost leave frame, and that's the very first shot we shot for the whole film, right? And that he kept that take.
When you'll encounter him the first time.
The first time, yeah, we almost were off camera kind of. But he was like, you can leave camera, come off, so play around with the field. They just gave us a few hot spots that these are where the focus points are better, but otherwise, do what you want. I think what we did was we did these kind of pre-scenes because we knew we had to
between scenes also.
Also, we started with. Like, for example, if we shot scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, we started rehearsing scene -5, -4, -3, like a lead up.
Never rehearse the scenes which you see on screen. Those were...
Yeah, we didn't rehearse those. We just went in order so that we also got accustomed to the idea of how this would work. What are the pitfalls? For us, for them, even for Karan to figure out what direction to give, for the camera people to cover it, which wasn't easy. So that's the kind of rehearsing. And like Rasika said, and there are a couple of scenes, because the story kind of jumps at points. I think it was her idea at a couple of points where in between 2 of those scenes...
What might have happened.
So we performed those as actors with no intention of ever showing it in the film, but just for our journey. So we did those. We did those scenes in the middle as well, yeah.
You wanted to add something to it?
No, I want to add something that in the opening scene, I took the opening scene as the first take because Rasika forgot that this was the first scene and that's how he's going to... She forgot that there was this guy that's going to come. She said, I'm just going to be in the car. I'm going to see. And Karan, I forgot the script, but it's okay. I think it's not a problem. I said, yeah, let's see how it goes kind of thing. So when the first time she saw this dude like this, she actually was like, oh crap, what the fuck is this thing? And I have complete it's like, I think that she was, busy also trying to shoot other things. That she was in the middle of public, like PR stuff doing for some other movie. So her head was sort of like all over the place at that point. But it was damn cool watching.
No, but he did a few things like that. For example, Nikhil, the guy who played the human, I think he did a fantastic job. How he was going to look. Like we knew the story. But how he was going to look, we hadn't seen. And he kept that hidden from us. So the first time we saw him was actually in front of camera. And similarly, when the first time we see Hansa, I know Asmit, I worked with Asmit before, but how, he's going to be or whatever is, we didn't see that until, I came out of the room and the camera was rolling. So he did these few little things to try and keep it as fresh as possible for us.
Yeah, I think it's weird. It was weird prep work because besides them, I got to work with them because I had pre-scenes for them. For other people, we didn't have pre-scenes. So I had to so for Asmit, for example, I gave him, I think 3 hours of footage of me hanging out with Rasika, which I shot. I don't know, she was doing she was just hanging out at her house, cleaning her drawer or something like that. And we were just hanging out. And then I gave it to Asmit. I said, Asmit, just take this and pick up whatever you can, and whatever sticks, we'll use it, and whatever doesn't stick, let it go. So I think he got the laugh a little bit, and he managed to fit these little things into his performance like that, which I thought was really cool. And I think we did that with Kabir's character with CC as well for Mukul. So yeah, it was fun. That was a weird prep.
I'm sure you all also have a lot of questions to ask given the nature of the film itself. But how difficult or how easy is it to pull off a film like this while making it? I mean, once in your head, but to structure it together and put it together when...
This is actually, this is really hard. It was nightmarish. I thought it was especially shooting it for the actors is the only people that is easy for. Everybody else behind were dying because we had you look at something like the boom guys who were boom operators for the thing. They were holding that boom up for 15 minutes, 25 minutes straight. They couldn't remove it. And they were shifting because I could not tell them, nor focus pullers, I could not tell them who it's going to. So they were winging it every single time. So sometimes we would miss focus and I would get pissed when they miss focus because you're just like, man, we're going to lose or whatever. So we would have to find a way to we had a general rule which was if you're pulling focus and you have to shift focus, you're going to do it. Take 3 seconds to reach a mark. do it slow. It doesn't matter. Like, but just move slow. You don't quickly do stuff and panic and all these little things like that. So I think it got hard for those guys, and you can't plan those kind of things there. So, but otherwise than the edit was about 14 or 15 months it took for just editing it, because we had like, I think
3,500 minutes.
Yeah, some
of footage,
massive.
And this is how many minutes? Is
90
this film?
minutes.
Yeah.
3,500
Yeah,
minutes.
I had a lot of minutes, like 3,000 minutes of it. So it's a lot of minutes to cut down.
He edited
to,
all my parts out.
Not really.
I had a bigger role than Mukul, I promise you.
Not really. But yeah.
It's true, Karan.
I owe her a movie. Okay. But yeah.
No, I think you can have the last
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you very much to everyone for coming, and to G5A, Nikhil, everyone at G5A for doing this. It's not easy for a film like this to get distributed. If you did like the film, please tell others about it. It can be watched on a website. Karan has put it up on a website for anyone to watch anywhere in the world, fairyfolkthefilm.com. So if you loved it, please tell people about it. If you didn't, then it's okay. It's fine. Okay.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mukul, Rasika, and Karan. And thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you.